السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد, when we speak to the topic of family, more particularly when we speak to the topic of honoring family, we must understand that we are, at this juncture, a part of a global community. And that global community that we are a part of is made up of nations. Those nations made up of states. Those states, towns and cities. Those towns and cities, neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods, individual homes, individual families. And at the core of that individual family, there will be a husband and a wife who will become parents to those who will become the succeeding generation. So really, if we understand that we are part of a global community, the true vertebrae of that global community, it actually begins in the individual home. It actually begins with the individual family. So then, when we see different things going on inside of our communities or beyond that, reaching out to the world, step one in offering solution to that is actually honoring our families and then extending that to other families outside of ourselves. In this regard, we reflect upon the words of our Lord Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, the Messenger of the Exalted, as he is mentioned, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. And your Lord has ordained that none should be worshipped other than him. And your parents, you should treat them with beauty. Meaning that Allah has ordered this. Allah has commanded this. So then what is the commandment? Firstly, and before anything else, we understand that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. So then our Lord begins internal before going into the external. And he states, your Lord has ordained that you worship none other than him. So then you have to complete your purpose in life. You have to strive for that. You have to strive to complete yourself. You have to strive to become a holistic human being. You as an individual. You're not necessarily looking for someone outside of yourself to complete you in your union or within your family or within your society. You're looking to be complete in yourself because you have a correct spiritual relationship with your Lord. And then you are looking to join with other than yourself that has also completed themselves so that you can bring about positivity and production between the two of you. And you're not stuck in a merely healing process and trying to fix one another. You're building, you're growing, and you're expanding. You are adding value to yourself, your family, and the societies that you live in. So then you do this. Interestingly, if we were to ask what is the most important obligation within our faith, and we were to summate that into a word or a term, we would have to say Tawheed. We would have to say monotheism. We would have to say that. But interestingly, after all of the commandments that exist, or rather of all of the orders that exist from our Lord, directly after mentioning our relationship with him and setting that aright, he mentions family directly after that. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. And treat your parents with beauty, with ihsan. So then we start here. We start with how we are treating our parents. So how do we treat our parents? Our Lord states with ihsan. Okay, what is ihsan? What is beauty? It is وقوع العمل على أكمل الوجوه. قولا وفعلا. It is to perform an action in the most complete of ways, in our statements and in our actions. So then, if we understand that as a part of our relationship with our Lord is looking to how we interact with our parents. And then interacting with our parents beautifully means that we treat our parents in the way that we interact with them, that when we are speaking to them, we strive to use the best of statements. We strive to bring the best of actions towards them. Yes, this benefits them, but this also benefits you. How does it benefit you? Well, obviously, you'll receive reward from Allah, Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, but elsewhere, our Lord has also stated, Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. Certainly, I'm going to place a khalifa upon this earth, describing humanity. And from the meanings of Khalifa here is a creation that lives in succession to itself, a creation that lives generationally. So then, as you are interacting with your parents this way, well then, your siblings, as well as your children, are witnessing this as well. So then, what they witness from you, then gets transferred to them in succession. And then how you treated them, you then get treated that way as well. Allah continues. إِمَّا يَبْلُغُنَّ عِنْدَكَ الْكِبْرَ أَحَدُهُمَا أَوْ كِلَاهُمَا. And if you are able to witness and experience one of them or both of them entering into their elder years in life, فَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا. Then do not say oof to them and do not repudiate them. Do not say oof to them. This is like the lowest possible level of a derogatory statement you can say to another person. That's what it means. It doesn't mean the most, it means the least. Our Lord has prohibited us from even making a statement. You haven't done anything. From even saying something to them that is the lowest level of negativity toward them. Don't even do that. That's prohibited. Okay. So what does that mean in our modern context? Well, you know, when you're with your child or another person and you say something or they have to do something, and then you hear this. You know, when you're dealing with someone, or perhaps it's your children, and they don't do anything. You know what that is, and you know what that means, and you know how that makes you feel, and you know what your response, you know what you want your response to be when you receive that. Don't even do that, our Lord is saying. Let alone do something that is actually repudiating them. وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا. But rather say to them a word that is noble. Say to them a word that is generous. The meaning of a word that has nobility here, the meaning of a word that has generosity here, this means that we speak to our parents in a fashion that they are pleased with, so that you can earn their pleasure. And by way of earning their pleasure, you earn the pleasure of your Lord. And by earning the pleasure of your Lord, that brings you closer to fulfilling your purpose in life. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ. And I have neither created the jinn or humanity except for the expressed intent of my worship alone. So there's overlap here. And there is connection here. Allah continues. وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الظُّلْ مِنْ رَحْمَةٍ. And lower your wing toward them in your humility toward them and out of mercy from yourself. Meaning when we are interacting with our parents, we are meant to be interacting with them in such a fashion that we are humbling ourselves to them. Not that we are being too proud to interact with our parents in a fashion that is pleasing to them. That we are not arrogant when it comes to our parents. We don't reject the truth from our parents. We understand that our parents want the best for us. We don't belittle them. This is from the meanings of that. And we understand in our humbling ourselves to our parents here, even though you may have to swallow a large pill of pride, you understand the reality, again, is that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. You understand that this is reflective of your relationship with your Lord. So you're focused on that. Then you recall the statement of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Ma min ahadin tawada'a lillah illa rafa'ahu Allah." There is no one who humbles himself for the sake of Allah, except that Allah will raise that individual. So then the question becomes, do you want to attempt to raise yourself by yourself, or would you rather please Allah, have Allah raise yourself for you? Becomes the question. And you extend yourself in mercy toward your parents. Mercy, we don't believe that requires much explanation at all. وَقُلْ, and you should say, رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا, O my Lord. Rabbi irhamhuma, O my Lord. Bestow mercy upon the two of them. كَمَا رَبَّانِي صَغِيرًا, the same way that they nurtured me when I was young. So then, from you being merciful to your parents, is that you make dua for your parents. You supplicate for them. Again, you plug yourself into your relationship with your Lord, and then you strive to extend that to your parents. So you make dua for them during their lives. You make dua for them during their past. You ask Allah that He bestows His mercy upon them to the same extent that they were merciful to you, that they nurtured you, that they cultivated you when you didn't even know what was going on around you, when you couldn't even feed yourself, when you couldn't even clean yourself from waste, you can't even protect yourself. So then they make the sacrifices that they make throughout the entire of their lives, at times centering entire areas of their life around you, so that you can be and become who you are today. And then once you become strong and able and independent, then you neglect that blessing from Allah, and you don't show your gratitude to Allah. You don't honor your family. You don't show respect to them. You don't humble yourself toward them. You don't strive to do for them. So then, if that is you, what do you expect to witness from your own family, inside of your own house, or with your own children and with your grandchildren? Because you're the leader there and they are witnessing you. فَأَقُولُ قَوْلِي هَذَا, so I say these words of mine, وَأَسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ لِي وَلَكُمْ, and I seek forgiveness for myself as well as for you all. فَاسْتَغْفِرُوهُ, so seek His forgiveness. إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ, certainly He is oft-forgiving, most merciful. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. إما بعد. Our Lord, the Mighty and the Majestic, He has also mentioned, as we are sure that you have all heard before, يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة. O you who possess spirituality, O you who possess Iman, meaning you who you believe yourself to believe in Allah in the last day. Meaning, if you believe within yourself that you believe in Allah on the last day, then it means your Lord is speaking to you, not anyone else. Ergo, pay attention to what is about to be stated. It will either be a commandment from your Lord or a prohibition. You only got two options. So then, what is He going to say here? Qul. He states, protect. He states, shield. We frequently translate it as save. Save yourselves and your families. But let's examine this briefly. If you have faith, fulfill this commandment. What is the commandment? It is for you to shield and protect and to save yourself. So when we're speaking to this order of qu, it comes from the word waqaya. Waqaya is just that. It is a shield. So then you act as a shield in order to protect yourself. And you act as a shield to protect your family standing, or they are beyond yourself. You are that function for them. And you are to do this in a fashion that you are saving them from the fire of hell. Interestingly enough, this order of the word qu, this word waqaya, this order to shield, this order to protect, the word that means a shield, it also has the same root as the word taqwa. It all comes from the same root word. And we say fear Allah, and we can say that, but really what we're doing is we are utilizing obedience to Allah to shield us from the punishment of Allah. That's what taqwa actually is. It doesn't necessarily mean that you get scared. That's not really the meaning. There may be a lot of scared people in the fire of hell. Fear by itself may not quite get you there. There's some other aspects to that as well. So then, yes, what are some of those other aspects? Well, Ali ibn Abi Talib, may Allah be pleased with him, when he was speaking to taqwa, when he was speaking to having a state of God consciousness, he does state that it means al-khawfu min al-jalil, that it does mean to fear the one who is majestic. But he also states that it is al-amalu bit-tanzil. It is to act in accordance with revelation. It is al-qana'a bil-qalil. It is to be sufficed with little whenever necessary. And it is al-istidad lil-rahil. And it is to prepare yourself for your transition. It is to prepare yourself for your journey from this life into the hereafter. Those aspects together as a collective, that's what taqwa is, and that's not contained inside of the phraseology, fear Allah. So then we are instituting this taqwa with ourselves first. And interestingly enough, our Lord utilizes the word nafs. And your nafs is yourself. There are those among scholarship who mention that your children, they are from your nafs. Your children, they are from yourself. So then we commonly think the verse means save yourself first and then your family. But your children are from your nafs. So then at the same level and degree that you are striving to save yourself, you are striving to save your children as well, because they are from your nafs, because they are from yourself. Well, ahlikum, and they're after your family. Okay. Now, once we understand this, we understand that we are striving to honor our family in part by preparing a better spiritual life for them in this life so that they can have a better spiritual experience in the grave, on the day of resurrection, and also in Jannah by the mercy of Allah, the Most and the Exalted. But if we enter into Surah Al-Kahf very briefly, we see something interesting that occurs within the story of Musa and Khidr. What happens here is that they eventually come to a people, and Khidr, he spots a wall, and the wall is damaged and it's coming down. So then he tells Musa, we need to prepare this wall. And if you've ever been involved in any phase of construction, you understand that that is some work. So then they're working and they repair the wall, the two of them. So then Musa is thinking about their provisions, he's thinking about their work, and he's thinking, well, shouldn't we be receiving something for this? Khidr tells him no, because Musa is operating premise upon a different law than Khidr is operating with. And Musa doesn't understand the wisdom yet, because Khidr happened to have had some knowledge from Allah that he didn't grant to Musa directly, but in this experience, this knowledge from Allah was coming by way of Khidr to Musa. So then fast forward to the end of the story. And this wall that they prepared, you see there were two orphans. And these two orphans, they weren't looked after properly in the society that they lived in. And interestingly enough, just beyond this wall, there was actually a treasure. There was something that the parents had left behind for the children that the children didn't have access to. So then they were living a lower quality of life than they should have been. Khidr knew this, Musa didn't at that moment in time. So then they received this treasure, they live a high quality of life. We understand from this, one, that as we transition and we move on with our spiritual journey, We are meant to be leaving something behind for those who came after us so they can maintain their quality of life or hopefully increase and better their quality of life. That's not holistically the point, though. We see that we are looking after our families spiritually, but we are also looking after our families in the physical in this life as well. We want two Jannahs. We want the Jannah of this life and the Jannah of the hereafter to the extent that we are able. That's what we are actually striving for as Muslims. Okay. Our Lord states, وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا. And these two orphans, their father was righteous. The parent was righteous. Scholarship deduces from this that it is possible that due to your level of piety, due to your level of religiosity, due to your level of righteousness, Allah may become so pleased with you that he extends the reward for that not only to yourself, but to those who come after you as well. So then those who you are responsible for in your family as a part of your honoring your family is your offering salah. Not just the obligatory prayers, but the voluntary prayers. As a part of your honoring your family, it is in giving charity. It is in doing all the things you know to be righteous within your faith. Seeking proper knowledge of your faith to the end of the examples you can think of. Perhaps by way of a deed that you did, Allah will bestow his mercy upon you and take care of your spouse after you're gone. Perhaps because of you and your righteousness, Allah will honor your children in this life and the hereafter. Maybe your grandchildren, maybe beyond them. The same way that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala honored Nuh alayhi salam and all the people who came after him. The same way that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala honored Ibrahim alayhi salam and the people who came after him. For all prophets after Ibrahim were from his lineage, as Allah honoring him because of his righteousness during his life. And all were taken care of not only in the hereafter, but they were taken care of in this life before the hereafter. So what do we say? We are saying plug into your spirituality and utilize that as a means of access to having a higher quality of life in this life and the hereafter by way of honoring your family. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على محمد وأقيم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله